Hey, Mike Callahan back with the SA Weekly Talk Show, gearing up for the road to SA5 in Dallas, Texas. Service Autopilot's 5th conference, just dropping a knowledge bomb on everybody coming out, hoping to see you. In my commitment to lead up to the event, I got Caleb Auman out of Ohio. Met him at GIE. If you haven't seen him, he's all over Instagram, YouTube, and the social media likes. He joined us live from the floor of GIE with Jonathan Toshnak, Blake Albertson, and on-site Trav. So basically Blake, Caleb, and on-site Trav are going to be joining us here, coming out and telling us how to actually harness the power of social media across multiple platforms to grow and build your following. So if you have any questions, you're just tuning in, you want to ask Caleb about Instagram specifically, that seems to be his niche of experience, or any of the other social platforms, we're going to dive into it. But a little background on Caleb, and I'm going to kind of let him tell his story, obviously. But previously was in a mix of somewhat design, build, and maintenance. Decided to make the full jump into design build, which is a little bit opposite of a lot of the users of Service Autopilot. But his story is very interesting. He found his niche and his success in that design build, concentrating on pavers and specifically retaining walls in Ohio. So, Caleb, if people haven't seen you on social media, predominantly Instagram, if you don't mind giving us a little background, how you cut your teeth in the lawn and landscape industry now, and then maybe the reasoning and the path of going from a design build mix and maintenance mix to predominantly just that pavers and retaining wall specialty.
Sure, man. Thanks. And I appreciate you having me on today, Mike. It's flattering to be here and exciting. So, I started out in lawn care like everybody else, just cutting grass when I was a kid, and always enjoyed construction and building. Had a lot of stuff, with my dad, where I was doing a lot of building projects and things with him, not for hire or anything like that, but I just enjoyed building and construction. So just started mowing grass and quickly realized I want to work for myself, even though I started out working with a neighbor's company. And went to school at Columbus State in our landscape design build program, and it's what I eat, sleep, and breathe is landscape design and construction work. So we started out there, and we kept our lawn care division for, and I say division makes it sound fancier than it is, but we phased and transitioned out of that, I think about 5 years ago. It was one of those things where I just didn't want to, if we wanted to go that direction, it's nothing against lawn care. That's good revenue. It's a good industry to be in, but it's something that my wife and I, because she owns the company technically now, we didn't want to try to scale that into that business. And we decided to sell those accounts and then get into design build work, specializing in pavers and retaining walls. So that's what has brought us to where we're at now. And we'd always been kind of realizing, like, Facebook is the new word of mouth, right? And so we started, an Auman Landscape Facebook page, and then that transitioned into Instagram and then Snapchat, and here we are.
Awesome. Well, obviously, congrats on the move of moving over 100% design build. I know that's a gut check moment for a lot of people, but I think a lot of successful entrepreneurs like yourself, once you're committed and you're very clear and defined to where you want to go and how you're going to do it, that's the key to success and scale. Diving into the social media, before we really dive into platform-specific strategies, one of the things we were talking about offline is knowing your why. And kind of what I mean by that is, what do you want to achieve on each social media platform? Is it to become famous? Is it maybe become famous and get a lot of traction and resell some marketing in there? Is it to educate? Is it to sell work? In your opinion, and dealing with a lot of other companies as well as your own in this social media realm, how do you go in and know your why? Is there different approaches that we should be attacking and maybe different strategies in the business to grow and scale, or maybe to monetize the actual platform, maybe not specifically for your business itself?
I think with the why, it's the biggest thing is just being genuine with yourself and honest with yourself, and not trying to be something online that you're not, even though that's kind of easy to build a charade around that sometimes with making things look better than they are or bigger than they are, or whatever. But knowing your why is huge, because I think that'll translate to you enjoying the content you put out. And for me, it's borderline therapy, if not, it is just therapeutic, I think, at the end of the day, because I treat especially a lot of my Instagram content like a journal, especially my daily stories. It's like an online vlog, essentially, where I'm just talking my way through the day of issues we're having here in the office or out in the field, and things we're succeeding at and things we're failing at. And then all the while trying to engage and educate, I guess, to other contractors, especially so many of the guys on Instagram too are young contractors, and they're they're wanting to learn how to install things better or different, and that's been kind of that's really what our why has turned into of as far as our Instagram page has been just like trying to show people that I've done things the wrong way in the past, and if I can save anybody from making the mistakes I have in business, that's a success. That's success to me. So.
Okay, so if I'm hearing you right, it's more of an education for maybe the industry and other folks that are kind of grinding through the same trenches that we are.
Yeah.
Now, on the customer interface, is there any specific way that you're targeting maybe your clients or consumers? I know On-Site Trav talked about a little bit maybe becoming that expert locally in
Right.
doing different things. Now, is it more of an educational thing to help the industry, or is there also another spin the way you're tackling this to actually communicate and connect with clients or potential clients as well?
Well, and that's a great question, a great point, because it really, for the route we're going and anybody that goes that route, it's twofold. And it really ends up being kind of dual use, because if you're out there showing what you know and educating and helping others learn through what you've learned the hard way and the easy way, sometimes it shows that you're an authority in your field or in your realm. And potential clients see that and, are intrigued by it and are happy to see that. They like seeing that, somebody's out there sharing what they know. And in most cases, the folks that are watching that, be it if they're DIYers or not, that's okay. But I think if you're out there showing that you know what you talk about and share what you know, that really ultimately to clients has been a good thing for us, because it's helped us locally also. People see that we know what we're talking about at the end of the day, and through showing that through our work and through our how-tos that we do. On our Instagram channel and stuff, it's been good for us on the client retention and client acquisition end, as well as like our educational platform and format of helping kids and contractors across the country. So it's been cool and been dual purpose, really.
Sweet. I want to say what's up to Naylor watching. Didn't have the pleasure to meet him at GIE, but he's definitely watching there. A couple other longtime viewers too live. I love it. So basically, diving into that, and I'm curious what your thoughts are before we hop into the next topic of this is, do you see this as a long-term game? Is it instant return? I know one of our normal guests that actually is going to be joining us live from the SA5 bar area is Garrett Matthews. Garrett Matthews tells a story of where he actually had a resident doctor that was consuming his content, how to prune different trees, different things in that southern Louisiana market. And once the guy became a doctor and could actually afford Garrett's services, ended up becoming probably a $25,000 to $30,000 a year contract, and all his neighbors signed up. So it was about $100,000 to $150,000 ROI on that long-term gain. But one of the things that Garrett mentioned was you can't get discouraged if you don't have immediate traction. It's a long-term game. It could be 12, 15 months, 24 months. I've seen that in my market in upstate New York. Kind of curious, in your opinion, is it a short-term game, a long-term game, or a combination? What are you seeing as far as return on investment of your time?
As far as true and good ROI, I think most of the social media stuff is going to be a long game for you. Just aside of like offering initially like a coupon that no one can, turn down or whatever, that gives you immediate ROI potentially, right? But if you're just going off of the content and things and giving away content, it's more of a long-term thing, because you've got to build a following in most cases. Now, there still may be that one person that latches on early and ends up being that big referral, like a doctor or whatever. That can be like a quick turnaround, but for the most part, you really got to be in this for the long haul. It's, really is the new medium as far as reaching people, I believe, because print is nearly done, but, that still has its own, feasibility and viability too. But, it's definitely a long game, I think. And especially to build up a large following, is a big thing too. It takes a lot of time.
Awesome. So next question going is, I know a lot of people, when they're looking to get into the social media game, including myself, being in front of this camera right now is absolutely awkward. It's terrifying. When SA was confident enough, or maybe crazy enough, to actually throw me on stage in front of 500-600 people for the first time, I'm going to be doing it again this week, coming up here in Dallas. That's uncomfortable. It really is. So I guess if you're looking to get into this game, do you have any techniques or thoughts how to get in front of that camera, get over that sudden awkwardness, or if somebody's like, I really want to get into this content game, but I just don't want to get in front of this camera and do this. Is there any other ways to approach that content game, probably specifically on Instagram, so you don't physically have to get in front of the camera until you're actually confident doing that?
Absolutely. And that's a huge thing. And just even the first few times I went live in, Periscope or Facebook or anything, I was really nervous, and it was really something to begin to work on overcoming. But my passion for the industry and my passion for what we do, fortunately overcame that, because you just begin to roll into like what you're passionate about talking and speaking about. And that helped me overcome most any of the jitters that I had, initially going live. So like on Instagram, for example, you don't have to go live right off the bat, or you never have to go live at all, or do these daily stories or anything. You don't have to be in front of it. No, I believe it helps build your brand personally as your company. But, at the same time, if you're just putting out content out there that is good quality work, good, quality photos of quality work, or, quality content of how-tos or whatever, that's a good way to get out there and not have to directly put yourself in front of the camera and, be nervous. But really the biggest thing is, you just got to try it. And ultimately, a lot of the Facebook lives and Instagram lives and all that stuff, if you're not happy with it, you can take it down. It's still on the internet though. And so that argument can be made. It's out there somewhere forever. So don't forget that. But, just your best thing is just to start posting content, get it out there, and just do it. And eventually, for the most part, if you have the inclination to do it, you'll warm up to it.
Awesome. No, great advice. And I think it's really awkward, even at this point, 24 or 36 months into it. Getting in front of that camera sometimes can be awkward, especially if you're not in the right frame of mind. Getting to that, you said going live, obviously it's going to be out there somewhere. I mean, it's kind of like what happened at spring break, probably doesn't stay at spring break nowadays, but for the most part, you can probably pull it right down if you're not happy with it. But far as like, if we're going live or not even going live, is there certain equipment or editing? What's the process there look like to get that final product out the way you want it if you're not going live like this? And what could go wrong going live here with a guy from New York and Ohio?
Right, yeah.
All bets are off. If we're not going live, how do we tackle that? Is there a way to edit it? Is there certain equipment we should use?
Absolutely, yeah. And one of the things, the reason I love Instagram so much is its organic nature. And, any of the editing stuff is self-contained in the app for the most part through your phone. So you can edit some short stuff together. Nothing crazy by any means, but that's a great thing about it. And I think in general, like the raw nature of Instagram is sometimes the raw nature of it is what appeals to people too. It's not all glammed up. It's that real look, and I think that helps also build credibility that not every photo needs to be all doctored up and the prettiest glamour shot of a project. It's cool to see some stuff that's just a real picture of things going down in the field, be it how it's getting built, or your guys out working, showing how hard a work it is. So it also helps your clients see that, the reason this stuff costs what it does is these ridiculously expensive machines we've got on site and our hardworking guys and all that stuff. So I think a lot of that, I personally don't want things to be too polished. But then at the same time, there's cool stuff. You can buy all the fancy, gimbal, which is the image stabilizing tools, which is like a wand with a gyroscope on it. And, we just bought one for $100. I think it's going to take some of our content to the next level. Because I think that's going to be cool. And I don't see many people doing that with Instagram content. So we're excited to be releasing some of that stuff coming up soon. Just cool machinery videos and job site tours. But of course, drones. Any way you want to capture, from the most raw, footage straight from your phone and upload it to, you can put it through, any of the video maker apps and make it as fancy as you want.
Awesome. Great advice. And I couldn't agree with you more. And I guess one of the things that I would, getting into this game is one thing that I did is I overthought this. And Colin's got a quick question here. Do you script the sessions? Well, for this, Colin, honestly, we didn't. We literally got on 5 minutes before this and just started rapping. And we're flying by the seat of our pants. But that being said, and I'm curious about the way you go at it, Caleb. But in my lawn care company, when I'm doing content, a lot of the guys that I'm rolling around that I think are consistent and really effective is we're literally driving down the road. We see something, we pull over. Our wives probably hate us because they're like, we need to get a video of this. And it's whatever's on top of frame of line that we see that's a pain point that's relevant at that point. I think when you go out to an extent and try to pre-script a lot of these videos, they're not natural. They're not comfortable. And you can see a lot of my early videos. If you go back, I don't watch them, but for example, they're probably good. They're really pre-scripted and they're just brutal. But that first draft, better than no draft, and you need to get those under your belt to get there. But I think just these Facebook Lives have got me a lot more comfortable with doing this and kind of flying with it. And that's kind of how we're approaching the daily content as well. Are you scripting these things out like a week in advance? Or are you literally just saying, I need to be consistent each day or every week and hitting those when you see those opportunities?
Dude, you nailed it. Like I'm constantly going on Instagram stories and posting content of a tree I see that's planted improperly, or properly for that matter. Like you don't want to be negative too much. You want to point out, things you see that's a pain point, like you said. But sometimes, like if I see a project that's beautiful, I definitely would love to point that out, or work that's done properly or whatever. I love to point that out as well, because you can say this is how it's done right, and it doesn't always have to be by us, So yeah, I don't script out our stuff too much. I always in my head think like, oh, that'd be cool to put up as a photo next week. Or I got a bunch of Post-it notes up on the wall here of things of like I thought of one day. It's like that would be a cool post, or that would be a cool Instagram story. So I got Post-it notes, freaking everywhere of stuff that I think of like get in. It's just something I get so I start talking fast. I get so excited about it because like I just love posting content, especially in our daily stories of just what I'm seeing in the contracting world. And so I don't get too scripted. I personally don't, but it doesn't hurt to have at the same time maybe a schedule if that's what you need, like a content schedule. Because I know a lot of companies will have like a content schedule and helps to keep them on track, keep them accountable. I don't need it because I'm just so insanely passionate about putting out content. I don't need a reminder or anything to push me into it. And to an extent, too, real quick, it comes at the expense sometimes of my company. Sometimes I've got to work later or earlier in the morning because I goofed. I say goof, but because I was messing around on Instagram too much, posting content and answering questions, doing things. So it comes at an expense, and you've got to balance that stuff to an extent too, or just be willing again to put in all that extra work to get where you're going, in your social media campaign, whatever the reason. Yeah,
I love it, and I think I'll be the first to admit now that running the lawn care company in New York, as well as Simple Growth, creating those automations and things that we're doing for people, as well as the consulting as we're scaling. It's tough to be consistent. Simple Growth is scaled, I think, at about 149% year to date, just in the last 12 months. The lawn care company hit that million mark way back, 6-7 years ago. And it went beyond. But I think one of the things that I would like to share is a consistent thing is we create a thing so you can do it yourself on a Google Calendar. We created an automation to do it. We call it repetitive task, and literally it's assigned to a particular person in your organization. So one of my big things each day is to post content. So that comes up and pops up around 7:30 in the morning at my computer, and it's due by 5 or 6 o'clock at night. And I actually physically have to check it off. Now it's not telling me what I have to do, but it's a daily reminder for accountability. So I highly, highly recommend if you're getting pulled in 3 different directions, and especially running a lawn care home cleaning business, being in that hot seat. And I know I'm not really in the day-to-day operations of the lawn care business anymore, but especially when I was in there managing 7 or 8 crews, trying to get the estimates out, and just managing the day-to-day fires. That was the only way to stay consistent, is have that daily reminder in Service Autopilot or whatever service CRM you're using. So that would be one thing that I would pass along. Want to say what's up to Reese Goodwin as well. Always watching. Wanted to know about possibly a podcast of the SA Weekly Talk Show. Reese, that's something we're actually looking at. If you know somebody who's down with creating podcasts or doing that, reach out to me. And also been talking to Cody and Bear of the Profit Roadmap, provided by Service Autopilot. They are starting to upload some of these select interviews like this. So between the combination of those, great advice or suggestion, we'll try to get those up and running for you. And real quick, I want to hop on Dale Kelly real quick. We kind of already touched on this, Caleb, but if you have any other questions of how to avoid doing that live video, if you want to just rehash a quick 2-minute recap on that for Dale, if there's anything else you thought of in the passing.
Sure. As far as making a video how-to, anything like that, the content-wise, that helps prove that you're an authority in what you're talking about. And, the DIYers, they're never going to hire you anyway. So some guys will be like, well, what if you put this stuff out and people do it themselves? Those guys weren't going to hire you anyways. So don't even worry about that stuff. But the people looking for a contractor that knows what they're talking about is where these how-tos and stuff come up. And so you can pre-make, any of these, you can pre-make, pre-edit anything you want to do, and you can edit it till you're comfortable with it to put out there. And then as far as, if it's a how-to, I think that's one of the best things out there to show that you know what you're talking about, is explaining and, breaking down the process of how you do things. I don't care if it's from how to clean a room the most efficiently and, most effective way possible to, how to edge your sidewalk with a sidewalk edger or install a paver patio or whatever. Any how-to, I think, is great stuff. It shows you're an authority in what you're talking about.
Great. And I know we kind of talked about the consistency factor of this, but as we're going in, alongside that consistency, how often do you feel we should be posting? Let's just say we're just starting in the game. Do we go in and say we're going to knock it out 5 days a week on every platform available? Are we better off taking little baby steps, or is there something you've seen in your moving into this, that maybe we should do a Facebook at this time, an Instagram at this time, a Twitter at this time? Where's that mix that you've seen, or maybe seen others do, to be able to master the timing and the different platforms, or we post the same thing at each platform?
A lot of the social media platforms favor consistency through the algorithms. So the more repetitive, the more regular you're putting out content, the better. So I think it's one of those things you've got to figure out what platform, be it Facebook, Instagram, Snapchat, whatever, that's most organic to you is kind of possibly the one you ought to drill down on the most. But also you need to balance that with where your clients most likely are. And most likely your clients are on Facebook right now. The baby boomers are now on Facebook. The young, like 25 and unders, are not on Facebook so much anymore. They're on Instagram and Snapchat and Reddit and a bunch of other stuff. So those are, depends on what your demographic is you're trying to reach. I know we're trying to reach like the baby boomers and empty nesters and stuff like that. So we're trying to post, daily on our Auman Landscape Facebook page of, quality content that's informative, and then some glory shots. And then on, Instagram, I'm posting 1 to 3 times a day because just those algorithms favor the repetitive nature of it. And then also the more popular those, and that's why it's important to put out quality content as soon as you can produce quality content, because the more popular those the more popular those postings are with interaction, be it comments, likes, shares, whatever, the algorithm begins to favor, those postings and your future postings more. So it, it really favors regular content at the end of the day. So as much as you can commit without jeopardizing other portions of your business, I recommend just as much as you can with the platforms you prefer to work with, and that, because that'll help draw out some of that passion and enjoyment of it. It won't just be like, oh, I got to do this marketing thing again. So if you enjoy it, because I get it, because I'm not big on the Facebook thing. My wife handles it for me, thank goodness. So it's one of those things. I'm blessed there to have that kind of diversity. But I get it. It can be work, and marketing to an extent is work. But this is, I believe, especially Facebook, is where you're going to get a lot of your clients at this time right now in 2018. So.
Okay, and I know we hadn't really touched on it, but I'm just curious, and if it's something you're not doing, that's totally fine too. Just kind of popped in my head. It sounds like we're talking about a lot of organic posting. We're paying it forward. We're educating. We're becoming that topic expert, trying to create that higher perceived value. So when you are ready to make that sale, you've answered all those questions, and they're ready to buy at a higher price. Are you leveraging any of the paid advertising, as far as on Facebook, Instagram, any of those other platforms? Is that something you've dove into? And if not, that's okay too. Just kind of curious.
Yeah, we do run paid Facebook ads, and we've got a small budget of that right now. Nothing crazy, like $30 a month or something like that. And like Gary Vaynerchuk is saying, like, that's the biggest, the biggest ROI is available right now. Right now on Facebook, paid ads, because they're so cheap and the exposure is so great. We really should be doubling and tripling down on that some more. But we are doing Facebook paid ads. And if nothing else, we're still big on building the brand in our area, because we have a small rural demographic we're trying to reach. So we're really just trying to keep our branding in front of people and our capability of what we do, but providing value so it's entertaining to watch. It's not just like, because you got to think about, like, what do you want to see, right? You don't want to see a picture of like somebody's dinner, or, and I don't mean this the bad way, but like your kids and stuff like that. People, most folks don't have time for that stuff from a professional and for your company. So your company doesn't need to be putting out that kind of content too often. It needs to be informative and attention grab. Now, if it's a cool picture of like a little kid sitting in a excavator or something, stuff like that's cool. But if it's Bobby's 5th birthday party, that's not going to be relevant to what I'm looking for in contractors to an extent. Although that does have, like I said, it does have its own reach to an extent. But Instagram ads, we're doing a little bit with that. We've got an educational side platform that we're building and working with, that we're going to pump out paid ads like crazy. But main thing is organic on my end on the Instagram, which is what I love on Instagram. I use a lot of hashtags. So hashtags that are pertinent to our industry of the people I want to reach, because guys will be looking up, well, who's posting under the pavers hashtag right now? And so guys will look that up, or Hardscape Brotherhood. Now, to reach clientele, what you may want to be, looking up hashtagging is, what are local hashtags that are being used to you? So like the Hocking Hills is a huge region in our area, and there's like a few million postings under Hocking Hills. So we might try to, if it's pertinent to that region, because we're working in that region, we'll, on a photo we're posting, we'll go hashtag Hocking Hills, or our local city, which is hashtag Lancaster, Ohio. And so people will be seeing, well, who's posting, and stuff that's relative to our, to where we live. And so that's been big for bringing in local following, and people, then beginning to see, our company locally. And it's not just sales puking, it's like, hey, buy from Auman because we post on this hashtag. It's still stuff that's relevant and worth, I think, being seen in most cases. And so those are kind of some little hacks, if you will, we're using of like, not just being obnoxious, just trying to be in front of everybody, but just things are like, hey, here's a beautiful patio we built down in the Hocking Hills that's set in the woods. It's beautiful, and it fits that region. It fits a lot of the photos that are, being taken of that area. And that's how we're trying to, kind of work that end of organic and non-organic in this case.
Cool. So it actually kind of dives into my next question was, how do you go in dial in a certain demographic or geographic area? And if I'm hearing you right, hashtags are a really good way on that platform in Instagram. And naively, I guess I'll ask, do those hashtags work on multiple platforms? Do they need to be different? Is it a different approach, or do just hashtag Hawkins Hill work on Instagram and Facebook or Twitter? Is there certain specific platforms that we're going to want to use hashtags more or less? How does that all play out?
And that's an awesome question, and that's partially too technical for me to know. I know like a lot of hashtags for the most part, like on Instagram, are really going to draw stuff from Instagram, and not, even though Facebook and Instagram is kind of together, but not at the same time. I don't think it's going to draw anything from like Facebook postings or photos. It's going to be more or less platform specific, is my understanding. I could be wrong on that, but as far as I know, it's mostly platform specific when you do hashtags or location tags or anything like that. And so again, that's really important to know, again, what your demographics are in that specific application. Because like Snapchat, although that app has grown widely in its range and age of users, it's still a lot of young people using Snapchat. So you might not be trying to sell retirement plans through Snapchat because it's mostly like teenagers up to like mid-20s, right? Although those demographics may have totally changed now in the past 12 months. But so knowing the demographics of the platform you're on are pretty important when it comes to like finding your own target market, right? So
awesome. No, great advice, because obviously you need to know that customer avatar that you're speaking to out there. And you kind of hinted at it. I'm just curious your thoughts, if this is something you're doing, or maybe there's a better way of doing it, or maybe you're not even doing it at all. You mentioned the different platforms and different age ranges. So obviously the Facebook platform is probably more specific to who we're catering to now. I use the analogy that Wayne Gretzky always uses. He's going to go where the puck is going to be, and not where it's at now. So are you trying to be where the next attention is? It sounds like you're a big fan of Gary Vee, or at least follow him. I know that's one of his big things, where that attention is going to be and getting ahead of it. Are you playing the long game as well, more on the Instagram now for when that shifts demographic and they are your main buyer demographic?
Absolutely. And so, I'm noticing even still a lot of my clients I'm noticing are moving over to and getting into Instagram here over the past even 12 months. So, and those apps are always going to, those demographics are going to, shift and change. And you want to be watching that, because if you want to be reaching a younger market, you potentially want to be looking out, stay in Instagram, but, Snapchat and whatever apps are coming up behind that and gaining popularity. And I'm still active on Snapchat and produce a lot of the same, but, specific, platform specific content to Snapchat, because a lot of that is going to be, stuff that's going to help us cross-pollinate from our, Instagram that don't know we have a Snapchat, and our Snapchat doesn't know we have an Instagram account. And so we're, kind of on both platforms talking about each other. So we cross-pollinate, so we get followers going both directions. And you can do that with your YouTube channels, your Facebook, promote that, hey, we have a YouTube channel or an Instagram channel. Be sure to check us out and follow over there for different content or, whatever. And that's why they say, each platform needs to have specific original content for the most part, which we do, which we try to do as best we can, or just maybe more in-depth content, right? Like your YouTube channel might be where you do a long-form pruning lecture, as opposed to on Snapchat or Instagram. You got to keep it quick, within 30 seconds to a minute. So it's relative to that platform. But you can do a long-form thing on YouTube, and then, your clients can really see, where that's going. So, that's why I still want to stay on Snapchat and other platforms coming up, because even if it's people locally following me that aren't in our target market, I'm not going out of this industry anytime soon. So in 10 years, when they're buying their first houses and things like that, I want to be that branding. Or maybe their grandpa needs somebody that, needs landscaping at their estate or their property or whatever. So we're trying to be everywhere as best we can.
Awesome. No, I appreciate your time, man. Obviously, you got somewhat of a compressed schedule. If you're watching live, get any questions for Caleb here, we're closing this up. I want to send a reminder, if you're coming out to SA5, Hyatt Regency, Dallas, Texas, I'm going to be having Jonathan Patoshnik, John Caldwell, the co-founders of Service Autopilot, are going to be there. Going to be going live from the actual conference and the after portion of the conference from the bar/reception area at the Hyatt Dallas Regency. Starting out the night before on Wednesday, going to have Jason Cupp live asking Q&A. Going to have Garrett Matthews, Chad Cranston going to be on. We're going to have Lisa Marino of SA. She came from several different industries. Just an absolute ninja in marketing and content writing, Facebook, things like that, for paid advertisement as a platform. She's going to be there. Going to have Martha Woodward of Dusting Divas and Quality Driven Software. Martha's from the home cleaning industry, has a separate platform, Caleb. If you haven't checked it out, her quality driven software is really great. It actually triggers out and does customer satisfaction surveys. And then if they're happy, it drives them to social reviews. We had a gentleman, John Domney, had 119 or 120 5-star reviews in a month and a half when he first started using this platform. Unbelievable. So if you're looking to come out, just meet us, hang out, have a drink, whatever your thing is. I think, I'm not sure. I know last year we had Brian Ring, Mr. Ring-a-Ding was there, amongst some other heavy hitters on social media. So if you're going to be there, come out, check us out. We've got a table there. And Simple Growth as a certified advisor is going to be having some killer specials for the conference as well. But main thing is, just want to go out, work knee to knee with you, say hello to everybody. Mr. Ring-a-Ding is actually live. What's up, Brian? Say what's up. Naylor's still hanging around as well as in Dale Kelly. In closing, Caleb, if people want to reach out to you, they, obviously really you don't have a monetized platform as far as I know, but they want to reach out to you, know more about what you do. Is there a good way for them to reach out and contact you?
Absolutely. In any of our social media platforms, at Auman Landscape. That's our handle across all of them, which actually is an important thing too. Keep all your handles across all your social media the same, so it's just easy to brand and think like, oh, at Auman Landscape on Twitter, at Auman Landscape on Snapchat. That's at least how we do it, and that's what makes sense to us. So at Auman Landscape on Instagram, shoot us a message, and I'll be happy to speak with you more in depth on anything that I can help you out with, be it pavers, plants, or walls.
Awesome. Sounds good. Well, I will be going live again starting Wednesday, SA Weekly Talk Show throughout the week. And going to be starting Wednesday, Tuesday. I'm going to be off the grid, just getting ready for my talk for Dominate Your Market Part 2. Following up Jonathan Patoshnik, Dominate Your Market. We're going to go in and actually show you how to tackle this labor crisis with 3 easy, low-cost, really effective ways to go out and recruit and stack that virtual bench. And then the second half of my talk, we're going to dive into growing and scaling and dominating your local market. So just like Caleb's doing in his Ohio market, dominating with social media and just buckling down and owning that market, we're going to have 4 or 5 instant takeaways, how you can execute them inside Service Autopilot, taking Jonathan's theory and my execution in the platform. And hopefully by Monday morning, when you go back to your business, you can start executing live. So we'll see everybody starting Wednesday. Going to be offline tomorrow. Getting ready for my talk. Caleb, once again, thanks a million. It was great meeting you in GIE. And if you're willing, we'd love to have you back on. It's just a ton of knowledge, man. Appreciate it.
I'd be flattered. Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity.
All right, brother. Thank you.